In some type of crazy gender justice compromise, the Milford, New Hampshire School Committee just voted to shut off and bag up so you can't use it all the urinals in the middle school and high school in Milford, New Hampshire. It's just crazy.
Trash bags over urinals and limiting students in bathrooms and locker rooms to the number of stalls. A new policy implemented this week by the Milford School Board.
None of us actually asked for any sort of change. The whole issue arose from something that happened at the middle school.
A heated meeting Monday night brought forth a proposal to change the district's bathroom policy, which allows students to use whichever bathroom aligns with their gender identity.
Okay, let me interrupt there really quick because that went very quickly with the report. The current policy is to allow students to use whatever bathroom they want based upon their gender identity. And a school committee member has now proposed that they are only allowed to use the bathroom based upon their biological parts, so to speak. So that's, by the way, the policy that I agree with, just so we're perfectly clear. If you're a boy, use the boys' room. If you're a girl, use the girls' room. If those are the parts that they have, use the bathroom that is appropriate for the biological parts that you have.
The proposal would require them to use the bathroom associated with their biological sex.
I've actually suggested a few times that we just make all of the bathrooms single use. People argue that all of your bathrooms at home are unisex, and we've never had any problems.
Okay, this lady's crazy because, a bathroom like at the men's room or the boys' room in high school serves like 5-6 guys, and now we're just going to cut that capacity down from 5 to 1? Not only that, that's dumb, but it's probably also some type of building code violation.
Superintendent Christy Michaud says the district is working to come up with a compromise, but that's easier said than done. One thing they're looking at is floor-to-ceiling stalls, but there would be some hurdles.
That's going to be quite expensive. It will be. And it's not likely something that we'll be able to, even if funded, and the board does choose to allocate funds to that kind of a project, that we'll be able to do until summertime.
And obviously, that is definitely our top priority when it comes to educating kids, is building all new bathrooms in the middle and high school. That sounds like our top fiscal priority when it comes to education.
Ultimately, she says the goal is for all students to feel comfortable at school.
There's a lot of passion on both sides of this conversation. Finding sort of a win-win or a compromise is really hard to do.
And the next school board meeting is scheduled for February 20th. The superintendent says there is a chance that this limited bathroom policy could be revoked before then. Live in Milford, Hannah Cotter, WMUR News 9.
So just to summarize, because it's so easy to get confused here, the current policy is to allow the child to use the bathroom for which they identify. And the current proposal is to actually change that back to be able to, or to restrict bathroom usage to the biological parts that you have on your body. I mean, so back to like how we've always done it, right? So the proposal is to bring it back to like how it's supposed to be, just so that we're all on the right page. And the compromise, the brilliant compromise, was to take trash bags and tape off all of the urinals, because that somehow solves the problem. This is just absolutely insane. Let's go to the Boston Globe to learn how crazy it actually is. All right, so here's your Boston Globe headline. Prohibition against urinals prompts student walkout as New Hampshire lawmakers weigh segregating bathrooms by sex. As if that's a weird, radical, like, Bull Connor type of, step backwards. In Milford, New Hampshire, the school's decision to prohibit middle and high school students from using urinals or shared spaces in locker rooms causes outrage. So this compromise closed off all the boys' urinals in the middle and high schools, and also said that you could not change, like, for instance, for gym, in a shared space. You now have to change for gym inside a bathroom stall. And at schools, this is probably the case in a lot of places, the bathroom stalls are disproportionately applied to women in girls' bathrooms. So, like, the boys, like, they can't really change for gym because I think they got 3 stalls to change for. So they can't change for gym. And you're not allowed to change, like, out in the open, like in the olden days. And just like any Globe article, if it includes any truth, it's almost near the very end of the article. So here we go, the money quote from Betsy Harrington of Deering, New Hampshire. She testified in favor of a similar bill at the state level, which would require schools to allow children to use the bathroom according to their biological sex, like it's always been up until recently. So here's her quote. Way to go, Betsy Harrington. Nice quote here. I'm gonna give it all. I'm gonna quote the whole thing here. Losing our private spaces to people who were born men defeats the purpose of the separation in the first place. In other words, having men's and women's rooms or girls' and boys' rooms. Their need for space did not negate ours. Excellent point, Betsy. I can accept that some discomfort is present for someone identifying outside of their biology. But the ladies in the bathroom would be transferred that discomfort if we gave up our space to biological men. Someone is going to live with some discomfort. Should it be a few biological men or all women? Excellent question, Betsy. And what is Betsy referring to in terms of the discomfort of a few versus the discomfort of a many? And what did that student say where this all traced back to some event in the middle school? Well, here's the background on that event in the middle school. The discussions began last fall when a boy who was thinking he was a girl decided to use the girls' locker room. Some parents were concerned about the behavior of one or more students in Milford. A parent testified that in January, a student who was a biological male left the bathroom door stall open. He was using the girls' room. He was a biological male, and he left the stall door open while he took a leak, while he relieved himself, which is actually, for those ladies watching, it's a fairly common practice in men's room, especially if you're like at a bar at a sporting event or something like that, that you may not close the door behind you if you're just taking a leak. So, sorry to be so crass. But yeah, it happens, right? I'm just gonna I'll just be a second, boom, 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 and you don't close the door. It totally happens. So apparently, some of the girls, and dare I say, the real girls, were offended by this behavior. As I would have been horrified if this happened to my kid, right? I would have been horrified if my girl, I have a 16-year-old girl, if this happened in her school bathroom. And I think that this parent was horrified as well. China is flying spy balloons over our country with almost impunity, and this is what our schools are concerned about. That makes total sense. All right, hey, from the home office here in Plymouth, America's hometown, I'm John F. Gately in Massachusetts, behind enemy lines. Have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Bye-bye.
Only girls can grow up to be the mummies. Only boys can grow up to be the daddies.